Good morning, Senior Pride here. This morning I'm going to talk about the things we realize don't matter after we turn 60. And we know that life is an ever-evolving journey marked by experiences, life lessons, changes in priorities. When we cross that threshold of 60, sometimes a sense of clarity comes to us and we start to understand what truly matters in life. It's not the product of cynicism. It's not the product of detachment. It is the culmination of decades of living and learning. We start to have the wisdom to discern between the noise and the important things, the transient and the eternal. So, what are the things that shape us and who we become? Well, when we're young, we have this illusion of perfection or need for perfection. We chase ideal images in career, looks, relationships, lifestyles. We strive to meet societal expectations or even self-imposed standards in these areas. When we reach 60, by the time we reach 60, we start to understand that perfection is just an illusion, and that illusion itself is what breeds the dissatisfaction. Let's look at the kinds of things that change for us. One, physical appearance. As we start to develop wrinkles, gray hair, all those other droopy things, signs of aging, we start to focus less on external appearance and more on internal appearance. So we start to look at things like vitality, authenticity, that honesty that we appreciate so much, integrity. Perfection and achievements is another issue that we tend to focus on when we're younger. So we have this desire to have like a perfect career, a perfect family, a perfect life. As we get older again, we recognize that imperfections and failures are integral to growth and learning. So it really truly becomes a life of authenticity and self-worth. We stop trying to attain those unattainable ideals. Another thing that changes for us as we reach 60 is kind of the obsession with material possessions and wealth. When we're younger, we seem to go through this desire, this almost relentless pursuit to obtain possessions, to obtain material wealth, bigger houses, bigger cars, the latest technology. By the time we reach 60, many of us realize that those material possessions don't really have lasting value. They don't hold worth in the way that internal things do. Possessions are transient. And as we age, we start to learn that there are other assets that are more important. They're the intangible ones: health, relationships, and meaningful experiences. Hot tea. There is a cost to all this accumulation. It comes at the expense of time, energy, relationships. It becomes clear with age that this is a trade-off we don't want to make. And we begin to prioritize people and experiences and internal things over these external items. Life becomes more meaningful in its simplicity. We start to appreciate what we have and stop trying to seek more all the time. We also change in our need for the support and opinion of others. When we're younger, others' opinions heavily influence us. They impact us greatly. When we turn 60, we come to a wonderful realization. It's very liberating. What others think of us doesn't matter. So we start letting go of that external validation. We recognize that others' opinions are fleeting and maybe not relevant, and they are not important to our internal happiness. We live authentically, and we stop striving to meet others' expectations. We start striving to meet our own. We understand the futility of people-pleasing. And this is something especially for women in our age group who were raised to be mothers and givers. We have to kind of break free of that, and that's what happens. We start to realize that it's exhausting, it's fruitless. It's not going to happen. We learn to set boundaries and prioritize our own well-being. We start to live a life that aligns with our values and our priorities, and we stop seeking the approval of others. Status and recognition. The need for status recognition is very, very strong. It's a huge drive in our earlier years. We equate success with accolades, with awards, with external kinds of validation. By the time we're 60, we start to understand the hollowness, the irrelevance of this pursuit. We start to understand the temporary nature of status. Titles, awards, and public recognition are fleeting and often forgotten. What does remain is the impact that we have left upon others. We start to want internal fulfillment versus external successes. We start to realize that the true measure of success isn't external markers, but the quality of our relationships, the contentment we feel inside ourselves, and the lives that we've touched. We start to understand that a life of purpose, of kindness, of relevance internally is far more rewarding than just chasing accolades. Experience those regrets and what ifs, if you will. We start to kind of look over our lives, start to think about what we've done, and we learn that dwelling is just futile. We understand that there's going to be regrets. It's inevitable. No life is free of regrets. But we start to understand that it is a natural part of living. It's to be expected, and we don't focus on them. We start to understand the importance of forgiving. We let go of self-blame. We forgive ourselves for past mistakes. And we recognize that the growth is truly only attainable through acceptance. We start to live in the present and embrace the future, and we stop ruminating on our past. We stop comparing ourselves with others. It can be cruel. It robs us of joy. And many people spend decades comparing themselves to their peers, to their friends, to their coworkers, etc. As we reach 60, we start to understand the futility of this. We start to accept that there is a uniqueness in each person's journey, and that life is rather not a competition, but a personal experience, a personal joy. We start to understand that everyone's path is unique, and comparison serves absolutely no purpose. We start to appreciate gratitude. We start to enjoy and be thankful for what we have rather than what we don't have. It's the glass is half full instead of the glass is half. We start to realize that the only person that is truly worth comparing ourselves to is who we were and who we are. We stop holding minor grievances and grudges. We start to realize that, well, it may have been something we did when we were younger. That negativity just drains us. By 60, we start to realize that forgiveness isn't about excusing the behavior of others. It's about releasing ourselves from feelings of resentment. We start to develop a healthier perspective on things. So things that once felt like major issues now seem kind of trivial. It brings perspective as we age. It helps us prioritize the things that truly matter. And as we let go of that negativity and that anger, we see the joy in life in ways we didn't when we were younger. And remember that rat race, that feeling of always having to be busy? We begin to value quality over quantity, and that means time, effort, etc. That feeling that we have to be busy kind of stops, and we start to prioritize activities that actually bring us joy and purpose rather than simply doing for the sake of doing. We appreciate how precious time really is, and we learn to spend it more wisely. We focus on relationships, interests, passion, self-care, humanitarian gains. A life that is intentional is far more enjoyable and rewarding than one that is simply busy for the sake of being busy. Remember that fear of change and uncertainty? Well, that held us back. But now we start to embrace the change that is inevitable and actually enriches us. We start to understand that we can't resist change. It is part of life. That our ability to adapt is what's truly makes us strong. We start to enjoy uncertainty and recognize that, yes, it's daunting, but it brings opportunities for growth and development and recovery and discovery. We learn to approach the unknown with curiosity rather than fear. Again, we live more fully and authentically. We appreciate each moment, needing to control absolutely everything. We start to realize that life is inherently unpredictable and that trying to control everything only leads to frustration. We learn to accept that there are some things we can change, some things we can't. We understand that sometimes we have to surrender. We start to feel a greater sense of peace even when we don't always have control. So yes, there is a profound shift in our personal perspective and our perspective of others. We stop focusing on the superficial concerns that once consumed us and instead focus on what really matters. Love, kindness, health, the pursuit of purpose, intentionality. Live more authentically. When we let go of what doesn't matter, we start to experience peace, joy, and connection. Life after 60 is not the end, it's a beginning. And it's a time to enjoy and savor existence and to focus on leaving a legacy that we can be proud of from who we are authentically. Now, as I usually say, if you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and explore. Please share with those who might enjoy this. And remember that being senior is to be proud. Hugs.